Hi everyone and welcome back to Sonic Academy's Ultimate Drums tutorial. In this one we're going to take a look at the genre of trance, and we're going, this is a kind of side companion to our new sample packs in Main Room House, Progressive Trance and Dubstep.
Yep.
So Phil, in the last video we looked at prog and we quickly brought in loops from the sample packs and started showing the guys how to manipulate those loops and sort of customize them and make them your own.
Yep.
Trance, what do we look for in trance?
Well, I mean, I suppose it's in some ways similar. You know, you use your kicks and your snares to sort of set up a sort of general vibe. We've got a sort of bit of a track here that we've got a few elements from. Very basic. We've got a bass line and just like a wee choir sort of thing. And I've just thrown a kick in just so we can put on some sidechain compression. And there's your trance tune done. And then, so basically, we first off start with your kick, go through your kicks, and we have quite a plethora of kicks to choose from.
So everything from the deeper side of trance, so more sort of
yes,
Anjuna beatsy stuff.
So the prog trance sort of starts from almost deep house up through to sort of start of the night, a state of trance stuff, and then the trance tutorial maybe overlaps a tiny bit, but continues that up vein on, then right up till Sean Tyas and some
Paul Van Dyke, the more sort of knocky kicks and
banging stuff, and the loops in this are a lot more, you know, shaky and shuffly.
That's the key element of trance, isn't it? It's sort of clattery percussion, quite fast, frenetic.
Yeah, again, there's a variation throughout the genre. You know, obviously, again, if you listen to the start of the state of trance type stuff, it's maybe
there's a bit more space,
and then you go on to the end of the stuff, and it's, you know, full chicka-cha, 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 big reverby claps and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to veer a bit more towards that sort of clattery. I don't like the word clattery. It sounds it sounds like things are messy, precise, chunky shuffles.
Okay, fair enough. So we're going to look at precise, chunky shuffles.
Okay, so we'll find a kick. And we've tuned again all these sort of low ends to have a real nice sub on them, and then there's a lot of variation in the clicks and in the middle. So we go sort of talk about how we were looking at kicks. So kicks to us have sort of 2 or 3 main elements. They have like your click at the start, they have the thud, and then they have the boom. So we've been sort of very careful to keep booms at a really nice point, you know, whether it's an F or a C, you know what I mean, to sort of roughly have the boom around that area. Then the thud is really the area that would define the sort of hardness of your track.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, whether it's got and the way this is sort of done in synthesis terms, or like in technical terms, is the speed of the pitch drop from the initial click down to that sub, and that'll sort of determine how knocky or, you know, how just subby or boomy it is. If it's got a really fast release or fast drop down, then you'll sort of get. So
if the guys can imagine a sub drop, you know, that we would use in tracks, speed that up loads. Yeah, and that gives you your mid element.
Yeah, that gives you your mid element, and if you have that really fast, then it drops from the high to the low, and you get sort of more subby or progressive kicks, main room house type kicks. Trance kicks for the sort of more Tyas-y type sound have a slightly slower thing, almost have more of a 909 knock, which is quite a slow knock. 808 knocks are basically straight down to the sub. 909 is a bit slower, so you get more of that mid-range knocky punch. And then on top of that, we've sort of designed a bunch of clicks that will give you a variation that will, again, your clicks, your sort of clicks and the thud, you're looking to blend in with your bass, or you know, you want them to sort of fit. So that's when you're listening through your sounds, you'll go, oh, that one sounds good with the bass, and it's because those two elements have a sort of synergy between them, I think. Yeah, and that's why two sounds, I think, work together. So we tried really hard to give as much variation as possible, but I didn't want. There's a lot of sample packs I hear, right, and the booms, you know, they might have a nice click, but the booms are all gone. All our booms are sweet to the beat. You know, they're all quite solid, and you know, it's really just the variation in the top elements and that punch and that click to give you variation to mix with your kicks or mix with your bass. So for this, we're looking something with a bit of knock to it.
A lot of energy. I mean, we've also processed these through various high-end plugins and stuff to give us the real nice solidness to really again gel everything together.
Yeah, we used a bunch of different stuff.
What was 24 there?
So
or 23 is it? There was one I heard there I thought was really awesome. 24 is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, again, I like to listen, especially a trance kick with the bass line, because I think that the synergy between those two elements is way more important than how the sound individually. So like that 28, it sort of has almost the same sonic character as the bass.
It seems to complement the bass and just sit nicely on top of it.
So that could be an option. And if you were to have, if you change that bass to have more of a, we could change this very quickly, to be more. If your bass was more like that, you'd be looking at a different kick probably, We're going for something a bit more like that. I think it's a bit more of a modern sound now, having your bass sort of a bit more open and a bit more airy.
Yeah, a bit more sort of sawtoothy.
So that's, again, that kick there would probably work with a more sort of solid-y, sort of bouncy bass. Yeah, quite techno-y sort of tech trance. Just a nice all-round solid. It's got a nice sub to it.
39's nice and solid again, so
more banging. More chirpy.
And that's that squeak you were talking about, that sub drop there.
These are
pronounced.
Yeah, you can really hear it in some of those. And again, if you're going for something more electro-y sort of trance, then those sort of
that would almost be, that would say to me like a very Corstony type sort of.
Yeah. Sort of softer ones in there at the end. So yeah, I think that number 4 has a nice vibe to it. Just sort of nice click, but it sort of drops down quite quickly to the sub.
Yeah, the bottom end works well with the bass. So it's just sitting there, it's complementing, it's not fighting, and it sounds part of the track.
And again, obviously, you can do a lot of editing to your kicks as well, just in drum racks itself. We talked about with Progressive One about just if you wanted to soften your click. You can very easily do that. So if you were to tweak your bass a bit, you can sort of arrange that attack sound to sort of complement your bass. Also, likewise with the release. You can go in, completely tune how you want.
And then you can also tune the actual.
Yeah, and then pitch it up and down. Yeah, I think I'll actually keep it down.
Yeah,
nice one there.
And I think the next sort of main element, Phil, would be your clap.
Big clap, yes. So, we're sort of in this one. We're going to be focusing on the sort of a main section of the track. So we'll go for a big clap. We've got 2 folders of claps. One are sort of affected, and one are still affected.
Just
one
less
affected more. So we've got a lot of sort of reverb claps there. Some of them are more subtle reverbs that you won't necessarily hear overpowering in the mix. They'll be more subtly in the background. So
like give the clap a space.
Yeah. So I'll just wing these in, and again, you use your length to determine how much tail you want. You know, it could just be a clap, or you could have the. So it gives you sort of, again, that control that you. And we'll try a few variations so that you hear a few different ones. I'll just put a bit of velocity on that so you can. Won't have it necessarily this loud in the track, but just so when we're sort of buzzing through them, we can
hear them.
Some have got sort of nicer, sharper claps with sort of nicer, sort of longer tails. More clicky sort of claps. Clicky claps I tend to like to sort of move. You can actually see in the waveform there.
I think, that is purposely, that's meant to be moved, shuffled forward.
Yeah, the clicky claps, you would sort of try and line up, not necessarily the very start, but you're looking to line up this, and that gives you almost a sort of very subtle sweep into your clap. And it might only be a very small amount.
It starts. That gives us a human element as well.
Yeah, it starts to humanize it a bit. It can also help to open up your compressor.
To start the compressor opening?
Start the compressor opening a bit earlier, and it'll give you maybe a better click coming through on that. Sometimes your clap can pull the click of your kick down a bit.
So kick 1 could be punchy, kick 2 could be less so punchy because
of claps. So you can sort of use that to sort of open your compressor already.
Okay. Top tips, folk.
So that's a good, solid, standard trance clap. I'll go through some more because I know there's just an absolute ton of good ones. Like and I'll move this back because not all of them have that sweepy feature. More schwacky claps.
That's nice. Nice in stereo as well. So you start to get that.
Diagonally, the old
lexicon reverb.
The lexicon reverb, yeah.
The reverse.
And again, don't be afraid to layer 2 claps up, spread them left and right, and do that sort of thing, and get some sort of weird stereo stuff going on. You know, that can work really well. You know, maybe a schwacky clap on one side and a more crispy clap on the other side, and sort of combine them.
Yep.
Standard, good back to the olden days, sort of El Nino clap. So there's an absolute ton.
And that's just one folder. There's 2 folders of this.
And a lot of the time as well, we went and we're sort of EQing and processing the claps in the mix. So a lot of times, again, I find, you know, you get a sample pack and, you know, you throw it into the mix and it's just off. You need to do a lot of EQing to sort of get it to fit. Well, we tried to sort of process them in the mix.
I think we tried to create a sound palette of trance so it was all around the same area, that everything will work.
Yeah, we were throwing, I mean, we made some demos for some of the sample packs as well, and, you know, while we were doing that, you know, you're testing the kick and the clap together with a bass line and a lead sound, and just to make sure that it sort of fits in and, you know, just has the right frequencies and stuff. Oh, we clipped that one.
There's just a lovely space in that one, I think.
And then these are a bit more, I think, aggressive. Are these? Or these? Oh, these are just more. There's some weird.
Yeah, just bigger reverbs on them and
phased reverbs and stuff as well. Then. Oh no, these were the ones actually that I EQ'd in the mix. I think that's why they're sort of thinner, yeah. So I'll fire some of these in. So what I'm gonna do, I'll keep that there, and what we can do is duplicate a track. If we duplicate our track there, it should mean we can keep just the two actual MIDI parts. So we've got the kick and we've got the clap, but we can actually add two different samples to the clap part. So say if I add another clap here, we've got a different clap for a left and a different clap for a right. So it just means we can sort of tweak about. I'll go back to the first folder and
give us a sort of there you go. You can hear the contrasting claps now.
Yeah, so it just gives you that ability to layer. You got a nice crunchy clap with a sort of more. Sounding cool.
So what would you look at next?
Probably
be hats, would it?
Yeah. Just getting those mixed a wee bit better. Yeah, so Chris wants me to program some hats.
Yeah, rather than I mean, it's easy enough to throw in loops, but I think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
to see.
Well, we've got a bunch of hats there, so we'll just sort of fire something up. Let's just throw a few in. We'll need a tight. Yeah, so those two there will work nicely as a sort of
as a pair.
Yeah, as a pair. So
sonically kind of the same.
We can just go through and do something simple like that. Gives you a nice sort of you're getting your hat on your downbeat, and then you've got sort of the offset one, and that's, you know, there's a few times where we did pairs of things like the pairs of hats and pairs of rides, that sort of like maybe a sort of as if it was a velocity on them or something, you know what I mean, just so they could combine together and you could sort of
what would you do to embellish this now? You know, it's kind of pedestrian.
So we've got that. If I've got my sort of main hats, I'm looking for something short in between it, so just to give a bit of a bit of groove.
So that is now creating our shuffle.
Man, you can sort of play about where you want it.
And what about velocities? Would you?
Yeah, you can fire your velocities on those. Some sort of seem to fit again because of the way we sort of process. We sort of try to get everything to fit without doing too much to them. So, but you can go in and obviously stick a velocity on, and then it gives you more control of. And then we could add sort of more in and sort of even lower velocity. And so you're working. You've got your downbeats here, so you get your kick, clap, and then you've got your hat in the middle. So you got 2 beats between those, and then you're sort of filling in the gaps with these sort of incidental beats.
And at this point, do you keep in the 16th grade, or do you start introducing a shuffle or groove? Or
you can do. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily start moving things in here. I think most DAWs now have, you know, good groove templates stuff that you can just fire on. Likewise, there's the groove pool here. You can browse all the stuff. You've got all the Logic ones. You've got stuff like 16B, 16 swings, all the sort of standard bits and bobs. they're all fairly similar. I mean, I don't think there's much difference between a Logic swing and a Ableton swing.
I wouldn't have thought. I mean, it's just it's moving it by ticks, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
You know, so it's
Gives you a bit of groove there.
yeah.
Yeah, you can change your amount. Gives a bit of groove. You tend to, if you would you put same groove on everything? Do you like to have everything?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm using a sort of say a 16B, I would put it on hats. Well, just the hats and the bass, and the sort of arpeggiated, yeah. Anything it's in that sort of resolution. Yes.
Yeah. So you got sort of a basic pattern there, and you want to sort of beef it up. And we've got a bunch of loops.
So I think it'd be quite interesting now to introduce the other musical elements and start then getting our loops.
You know, once you've got that sort of big riff in, you really need the drums to be driving a bit more, don't you?
Yeah,
So
yeah, just picking up the pace.
probably just do a bit of playing with these hats. You just want to make sure that you're not overpowering your kick, because really your kick needs to be
The main element.
yeah, it needs to sort of really, you know, so always leave enough headroom, I'd say, throughout the rest of your chain that you can, you know, vary your kick, you know, a bit. So you could push it up 10% if you needed to as well.
Because as you add more and more in, it always gets louder and
Yeah.
louder and louder, and your kick's just you have to turn everything down.
So we'll fire in some loops. What have we got? So we've got a bunch of different loops. We've got hi-hat loops, so to save you the bother of doing what I just did, we've got, you know, that type of stuff. And again, these work well combined, panned.
Yeah, there's a nice sort of overdrive element. There's a nice stereo element to these.
Yeah, so I can just fire a couple
Yeah, let's play
of them in.
There's different groove elements as well. Some, you know, 16s, 16Bs.
Again, you can use panning to sort of bring up your stereo field and just make things more interesting.
Would you add overdrive or anything to these to sort of slur it all up and sort of?
Well, we've kind of done that with a lot of the loops, so you shouldn't need too much of that. I would probably, the only thing I'll be doing at the end is just grouping it together and sort of compressing maybe a couple of different elements. And then so these are some faster ones, maybe a bit harder. And sort of some almost rhythmical percussion hi-hat type stuff.
And that's, to me, that's just picked up the pace so much more there. It's just
yeah, and then we've got, if you want to really jam it out, we've got like more percussion orientated ones. Excuse you, Chris.
sorry.
So they're maybe more at the softer end, and then we've got these sort of more groovy percussion things. These should fit in at any speed pretty much. It's we did a lot of stuff at 130, even though you're probably going to be using them faster than that, because the time stretching up is a lot better sounding
than
time stretching down. So you sort of want to have your samples at the lower end and go up. Some of the hi-hats are 140, some are 130, but
yeah, but
for percussion, I think it's
you're losing samples rather than inserting samples.
Yeah. you know, so you can hear there, you've got, you know, a few elements. You've got your shuffles that are sort of bringing up that energy. You've got, you know, a percussion loop that'll sort of just give you that sort of bit more groove. Well, hopefully this all works with the track. You just never know. Sometimes you're on solo and all this. Yeah, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, push audio forward a little bit. This is where the mix heads come in.
What do you want? You want to push the
that last loop? Yeah, that sort of. Yeah.
And again, you could fire maybe that. Would you push that loop into the reverb? Maybe?
Yeah, why not? Yep, I would.
Have we got any big righty sort of? I think we're trying to have some. I mean, I missed out what, like 40 loops there. So there's a whole bunch of percussion type stuff. Yeah,
there
so
you go.
Yeah, like a bit of a ride. Get this in here.
Press the bit Jesus.
Yeah, so rides, as Chris says, tend to work really well when you squish them to the max. And then you can put a compressor on to squish it, and then you want another compressor on to give you the side chain against the kick, and that'll give you a really nice sort of
It'll give us a very pumping effect, won't it?
Yeah, give a real nice pump. And then for good measure, you could throw on a bit of compression over the top. Well, actually, I'll pick that. Just so something about this I think I like. I think it's because it's using an RMS instead of the peak that it doesn't just have the same effect on the transients. Not bad. Maybe a bit more wimp in the kick.
Yep. Again, we're back to that. We've added in more elements, and now the kick isn't as punchy.
And maybe even just a touch of EQ on the kick as well. Again, it depends on the track and it depends on your bass, but getting some nice in the red meters for the meter police.
Right? I think that again in the last 20 minutes there we've the key elements of trance are well, this sort of trance is there's quite a lot of loops going on. It's quite busy. It's quite
yeah, and I mean that they're tools you're going to use for your arrangement to build up the different sections, you know, and you know obviously you don't start with that beat banged in at the start, you know, but that you know a lot of times I hear guys that are making tracks maybe just keep the one beat throughout and maybe don't add or take away too much at various stages, you know. I think variations in your, especially trance, variations in your beat dropping down to your kick, dropping down to just the hats and the claps and all those different elements.
I think if you play just the kick on that bass line, so we remind ourselves where we started. You know, that has got to be rocking for the rest of the track to work.
There we go. That's trance sorted. I think the next one we're going to do a bit of main room house, which shouldn't take too long because every main room house track just goes doof 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 doof. So we've got loads of variations of doof doof doof.
Thanks for watching. See you in the next video, guys.
Cheers.
Sonic Academy's Ultimate Drums Trance Sample Pack is the essential production tool every producer should have. This massive library of trance drum sounds is produced and brought to you by world-class producers, ensuring they are on the cutting edge. Choose from banks of kicks, claps, snares and percussion, all bundled with over 100 loops in AIFF, Rex and Apple Loops format. Also included in this pack are pre-made ready-to-go kits enabled in Strum Racks and Logic's Ultrabeat and EXS24. You can customise your own kits using the hundreds of samples that come with this pack, or simply drag and drop the loops. So download today and become that next level producer at sonicacademy.com.